Watermelons the entire day is a symbol of company, because existence is a confined chamber of accelerated time, and where without the aforementioned symbolization realizing itself for the majority of the period awake, as suggested by the expression of seeing rays warm up the most sensory uncovered cells or the tip getting agitation from the filler plants, seemingly appearing as stock just about anywhere. It is this that is also nice. Kind of related to the phenomenon of making the occasion of congruency pushing pin of the arrival in the current form, every medial circle in the spiral. Having leaves without others also makes the effect of frustration, but in this case, it's piling on more spikes. That makes the balloon visible different in motion, and even experience flutter. As outer crust dries out with sports of heat, and trails of macro allocation show significantly less desire for any real sort of result for polishing up selective and concentrated morning clearance and fresh elasticity. Train together a thought of 10 diverse non-object-oriented mental relaxation, just to see the impact of spectrums, not giving you ideas. Because as the stand-on-ground pillars made the origami, it is condoned that individual creation of ideas is not only prohibited systematically by inertial punishment, but more so in the actual open, that about no one has really set sail to leave some handprints inside of. How does this work? It's a freestanding endeavor where the challenge of only creation of ideas in for the information or matter connection is brought to you by a bald eagle, which then starts to expect without setting any guardrails for the looker, who is properly aware of the situation being so. It starts with a baffle of toast and subsides at a hill, where a choice is made to either look at the empty skies and try to make matter into information of bald eagle, or the other option being upright searching and running in panic to find the bald eagle, despite its clear heading of mission before cushion, realizing that the fundamental low branch irritating leg is the thickness of sky acid burning the top layer of terrain, which was the conical of the second indent. Well, empty sky can actually give something, the energy of environmental terrain, with that it feasts on when forced by the lumens to level the eye and begin assembling, instead of creating a bag of density. There are basics that are already known and don't require creation. It seemed disoriented and wrong, all of it with nothing having some perfection or good feeling about it being finished. But terrain colors and materialized information of bad or useless quality is a starting point for the East custom to get rolling on terrain, instead of hoping to roll and flow. The flow is the rolling and momentum generated rehandling what already has been materialized for the processor to further change on the core. So something is finally happening. Not really the chandeliers of a polished clean system, and prone to be completely replaced by an also faulty substitute. However, the idea of materialization is going from one to another. Every once in a sweat some shimmer get picked, and the fourth petal shows its wings of hitting refresh more than once per spin, early or earlier, so that the headed direction tips to the positive spectrum of incentive and whether or not the current substitute can halls. Returning to the initial challenge already seem lighter relaxation because of previous frustrations being recognized act past, as well as current and later fun times to look forward to. Keep this concept of looking forward to, because that is the good of the tipping scale of Sapien for the direction that marble is headed regarding the split of the single all, which mind you is what the bald eagle knew. When Looker was looking in the sky for materialization odd information to form itself without direction. The next step in this reef is making this more sustainable and self-induced, because static existence is on a different scale, compared to dynamic processing. The rock will chill for many spins, and core will heat up, while the gas layers began mixing around since even before, and still are for every unit only showing the smallest variations. The closest maybe in relation is my tree that you should remember. So knowing that, how else would you exchange information for what you value or miss to short a circuit of materialization of it? Or maybe easier is to think what would have to be clipped together for someone else with that issue, to experience the wiring hand correcting its own motions. If conical is, the why not conical closer and see the interaction, if he can conical the need, idea in exchange for motions or other types of directions. Just so happens that that is the in fact solution to making information more abundant. It's a mirror image of completely opposite things within the same sort of existence on the same sort of slower observation from the bald eagle. That's also why he'd been observing the looker and not the rock. Why test the rock when the looker is the potential not seeing it? Even if the differences in the data sitting down make falling asleep feel that it shouldn't have gone there, it only takes a few spins for the coupling of synapses to it's bounding around instead of the initial trajectory. But first of all the damping is negative, so the information increases without it. But even more importantly, is that the bounces make it, so that parts of one stick to another. Because the data solidified and confident isn't accustomed to instances, they become more colorful and brew to the minimum heat for energy on materialization and least favorable case heading, or a different looker, which is also the same thing, but repeated with different set of stones. That could also have made the incidents to strike in between areas. It can be 2 or more, and the cracks remove. The air becomes more fresh. The tightness in the relaxation increases for the jolts of information and excitement for materialization, for the latest update in information. Is there rapid firing in comparison to looking at the cold vapor for the second? That it clears a little bit. Clear or not does not matter. Entangling continues with the time beginning to slow down, like for the rock and tree, as a short spin feels adventure of the bald eagle coming back to check back, as if he didn't know he knew much more, because he was once the looker that struggled to climb the heights of well. The challenge is complete, and in the spirit of bald eagle, looker may have wondered what the spirit was. The excitement is there. The peak left is only the feeling of the bald eagle from before first setting out. That is, his own company from egg that has been closer to you now, embarking to clear troposphere of his own. Flabbergasted to branches. That bald eagle was sent out by yourself as part of the incentive guides of good, giving the chance for self to create by forwarding information of the future self to the current self, in fragments missing in the next moment, that the previous one could complete with the future chips unavailable at second.